Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's July 27th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop here. You can see we've got our cold air aloft up here across Canada that's going to be sending a bit of it down here across the Pacific Northwest and bring a very rare system for this time of year across the region. It's going to be measurable precipitation to many areas during our driest time of the year. Literally, July 29th is the driest time of the year for SeaTac. I'm going to show you some interesting data with that here coming up in a moment, but we got upper level low spreading smoke down across the region as well. And you can see that here as we scroll through yesterday. You can see all the fire activity, scroll through the sunset hours, and the black there are the hot spots from these fires ongoing. We scroll on in towards this morning, and you can see quite a bit of smoke, at least aloft out there, and a lot of smoke from the park fire moving up across Oregon and Idaho as we speak. And then we scroll on into where we are currently, and you can see that marine there punching into some of the coastal areas here, Vancouver Island, on the Strait of Juan de Fuca towards Whidbey Island, the San Juans as well. So again, you guys are killing it here. Over 140 subscribers added again yesterday. We've jumped from 63 to 65,000 just in a very short time frame here. So again, thanks to everybody out there. You guys make this all possible. Taking a look at the isolated dry today, thunderstorm potential across eastern Oregon includes Boise, Butte, and Missoula, Montana. And again for tomorrow, Missoula, Butte, and Great Falls, just off the east of Spokane, kind of clip on the Idaho panhandle there. Now, this is for Saturday here. Spokane calling attention to the potential for Winthrop, North Cascades, Republic here, and 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on the day Saturday. Of course, could start some new fires here. Not a huge widespread lightning event, though, coming up. And, of course, we got a lot of fires out there. You can see the Retreat and the Black Canyon fire there. You got all kinds of stuff going on across Oregon, including the Cal fire. You got Court Rock, Monkey Creek, Lone Rock out there. And of course, you got the Park Fire that's pumping huge amounts of smoke northbound with it as well. If you want a nice, affordable home weather station, it's got a great lightning detection system with it. It builds its own forecast, stores all the data for you in the cloud. Nice, attractive unit there. Great smartphone app. You can see the widget without even having to do anything with your phone before you head out for the day. Highly recommend this station. So taking a look at SeaTac. So very interesting potential coming up here for July 29th. That is the driest day of the year for SeaTac. The all-time record high you can see is a very meager 1700ths of an inch set back in 1993. And I looked through the records and it's only rained 4 times on that day since 1950. So 73, I think that's 73 years. Absolutely only 4 days, 100th of an inch, 200ths of an inch fell, and then like 1100ths of an inch fell on 2008, and then 1993 we got 1700ths. But besides that, there's been a couple days with trace amounts. But yeah, it's the driest time of the year here for SeaTac Airport, and we have a chance to beat this record. So it's very noteworthy. We're going to take a look at the weather models here in a moment, but you can see as we go from January all the way to bottoming out right at the end of July, and then we start bouncing back, especially quickly as we go through September, October, and November is the peak there, and we go through December and January, of course. This is also the probability of 100th of an inch of precipitation. You can see it definitely bottoming out there right there on July 29th. So very interesting system here coming through. Highly unusual to get rain at this time of year across the area. Now, if we take a look at what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere, this is our energy here, and you can see it bring a little bit of that down and that troughing here right across Pacific Northwest, and that is our systems could be rolling through on the day Monday. But then in the wake of that, we kind of keep that ridge flat for a couple days, but then we start to build the ridging here across the lower 48. How far will this extend west? How far will this troughing get here as we go on and through the end of next week? It looks like we're going to warm up there as we go through the Seafair weekend coming up for Seattle and a lot of the Pacific Northwest as we go on into early August. Now, taking a look at 6-hour precipitation. So this is the European as of last night. You can clearly see as we go through Sunday night and Monday morning, here comes our system. Nice rainfall for British Columbia, Vancouver Island, Olympic Mountains. Some of this getting down into Western Oregon as well, and SeaTac, we could break that record. Very interesting there, 1700ths of an inch. It doesn't sound like much, but it's very difficult to do on July 29th. And then you can see Monday afternoon, precipitation continuing, slamming into the Cascades. Even shows some east of the mountains here, eastern Oregon, Washington, as we go on in through Tuesday morning. And kind of keep those showers going here, especially for the higher terrain of the Cascades as we go through the day Tuesday. Then we wrap down that precipitation and some residual showers across British Columbia as we go through Wednesday, still out there. And then we start to dry things out, and we're going to start to warm things up as we go through the following week. Taking a look at total precipitation, this is actual amounts here on the European last night's run. So if I put that into motion, you can see on the day Monday, I mean, look at Seattle. You're talking about over a third of an inch. That would break the record there for SeaTac. You see nice amounts across Southwest BC, Vancouver Island, Olympic Mountains, coastal areas, and even some chance of miserable precipitation down into the Willamette Valley, Portland, some of the Oregon coast, and like I said, even east of the mountains might get a little bit of precipitation out of this. And you can see some pretty hefty amounts across some of the Cascades, up towards an inch here showing up for some areas. Now looking at total precipitation on the GFS, let's see what it has to say about this. Let's scroll through this and you'll clearly see the frontal system come rolling in here on the day Monday. Look at that, right around 0.17 as we go through the day Monday. So very close, actually would beat the record just by 1/100 of an inch there. But again, we're going to wait to some of the high resolution models to get in here before I get too excited about that, because the North American model, the 3 kilometer, is not yet running for the entire day. But we can look at the lower resolution North American model and kind of scroll through there, and you see it does show that 1/4 of an inch coming for SeaTac. So we could break that record. Now looking at Seattle Tacoma, if we look at the ensembles, you can see the mean is up over 2/10 of an inch. That would break the record as well. 24-hour total shown here. And this is the GFS showing that right around 0.24, 0.19, 0.16, 0.18. So getting a little bit more consistent here in some of the models. This is Hoquiam out on the Washington coast as well. You're talking about, the mean showing maybe up towards 0.4 of an inch in a 24-hour period. Bellingham, up over a 1/2 inch there. Not bad. Southwest BC even doing a little bit better than that. Looking at Spokane, generally less than 1/10 of an inch here. You're not talking about a lot here, but definitely the clouds and the cool down will, at least give you a little bit of a break from the very warm temperatures we have been having so far this summer. Tri-Cities, it does show a little bit here, maybe a couple hundredths here. I wouldn't bank on this. You can kind of see there's still a fair share of ensembles that don't show any precipitation at all. This is Portland. You can see the mean is up over 1/10 of an inch as well, so cross your fingers for that. Tillamook, Oregon, look at that. The mean is up over 2/10 of an inch. The control run calling for lesser amounts as you further south you go along the Oregon coast. But if we take a look at what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere, this is that energy here, that cold air here at 18,000 feet. And you can see it shedding this little piece down here, and that's what's driving our system. They're so subtle and it's so weak at this time of year, and that's why SeaTac doesn't get much precipitation here, because these polar lobes just aren't that strong compared to the winter months here. So we are definitely in our dry season, so this would be very noteworthy as far as precipitation amounts go. Now looking at the ensemble mean, I'm showing the Western USA here, and we backed out a little bit, so I want to show you something here as we go. There goes the system on Monday, swinging through, and then we really start to drive this, or build this region, I should say, here across the lower 48. And there's going to be that cat and mouse game of how far this builds west, and how far any troughing can come, and how much onshore flow we're going to get as we go through the end of the week. Now looking at the GFS ensemble mean, this is an average of all 30 of its ensemble members. We tweak each of those 30 members to adjust for our initial misunderstandings of how the current state of the atmosphere really is. So then we average that all out, and then we come up with this here at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, and you can see that system coming through on Monday. It's right there. And then as that system moves through, we start to build this ridge across the USA, and you can see pretty extensive ridge here out over a lot of the mountainous areas, the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, Wyoming, and for Utah here also. And you can see this is a pretty substantial ridge, big heat wave likely incoming here from much of the USA, and this could include the Pacific Northwest as well. We're going to be watching that here closely. Taking a look at the national blended models, you can clearly see the system on Monday, and then the warm-up come in here and timed perfectly here with the Seafair weekend for Seattle Tacoma International Airport. That's the national blended models. And if we take a look at the entire region here, you can see for today, pretty warm temperatures coming in for today. A little bit of a cool down tomorrow, and then even more so on Monday as the system's rolling through here and bringing some precipitation with it. Bounce back a little bit here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can see the warm up coming there again. Very warm to hot conditions here coming as we go through the end of next week. Some hundreds returning, 105 Tri-Cities there, for example. You're talking about Moses Lake at 103, Spokane over 100 degrees also, and perhaps continuing on in through the weekend. Now, this updates every day. This is a temperature departure from average. And you can see we've got a lot of areas with 6 to 8 degrees above average so far for the month of July. Some areas even 8 to 10 above. Seattle Metro 4 to 6. Same thing for Portland. A lot of the Willamette Valley, some of it 6 to 8, and some of the Cascades as well. So yes, we have been well above average. Extremely warm, downright hot July so far. But, you know, we're going to drop this down a little bit here with that system. It's going to help us out a little bit on some of these temperatures here and give us a little bit of a break. But then we're going to bounce back again, like I showed you as we go through August. Taking a look at precipitation departure, and yes, we've been below average here virtually across the entire Pacific Northwest, especially the Cascades and the Olympic Mountains. Seattle and Portland Metro also been below average. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. There is that ridge building. This was updated yesterday, but it does include the Pacific Northwest, and you can see that below average signal as well. Right now, this has not updated for today. There it goes. It updated. So we don't have any critical burn environment out there right now, and not talking about any significant lightning threat coming up here. And areas generally west of the Cascades are in low risk. And you can see there is some moderate and elevated still for some areas Cascades east, which is just typical for this time of year. And if we take a look at the vertically integrated smoke, this is a high resolution model, and I've shown you California, Washington, Oregon. You can see the retreat fire. You can see the North Cascades into British Columbia, Eastern Oregon, the Park Fire just releasing tremendous amounts of smoke, just an absolutely brutal fire down there. And then as we scroll through here, you can really see the benefit of living west of the Cascades across Oregon, Washington, British Columbia versus east, because these fires get going and usually there's some sort of an onshore flow, and it really protects areas west of the Cascades with that onshore flow. So you're kind of bathing in the smoke some of the summertime out there, and it seems to be getting worse year by year as well. Now, if we take a look at, this is 8 meter, this would be surface smoke. If we scroll through here today, you see not much west of the Cascades, but you can see that surface smoke out there bouncing around from the Park Fire, Retreat Fire, and across eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, Idaho, Montana. And this is as we go on in through Sunday afternoon. You can see a lot of areas just absolutely bathed in the surface smoke. So yeah, I wish I had better news on that front here, but let's just do our best not to start any more across the region. This is looking at the drought monitor. So the comparison slider, June 4th versus July 23rd. And as I scroll through there, you can see that we've introduced extreme and exceptional drought across Montana. Extended that a little bit more across into eastern Washington, and then east slopes of the Cascades, now severe drought, and a lot of Oregon underneath moderate drought here as well. But if we scroll back and forth, you can see they actually removed some of that moderate drought here from the west slopes of the Cascades across southern Washington. So a little bit of a silver lining there. But yeah, you can see we do have some drought here across the region. But anyway, yeah, interesting system rolling in here. We're going to go over this in detail tomorrow with the high resolution models. Try to see if we're going to have a chance to break that all-time precipitation total there for July 29th for SeaTac. That would be extremely fun to see. I mean, it would be a nice break here across the region. But the system is on its way. You can see it here in the mid-level water vapor loop. Otherwise, yeah, click like and subscribe. Let's see if we can get to 66,000 here over the next couple of weeks. And otherwise, hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.